Not many people know this, but underneath Colorado lie systems of tunnels that span across the state. They've been found in Salida, Leadville, even Denver. Today, we're going to go exploring those tunnels. We're going to Blake Street first to stop at the Blake Street Vault, and then we're headed up to Brighton to find out if the rumors of Brighton tunnels are really true. Joining us today is author Tracy Beach, who's written a book, The Tunnels Under Our Feet, all about the tunnels beneath Colorado. Join us today on our journey as we find out what really lies beneath the surface.
When I was working on my first book, which is a biography on a famous madam, I got hold of her diary from her great-grandchildren, and in the diary it mentioned the tunnels around the town of Salida, where she was working. So I followed her clues, found the first tunnel, and I was just hooked. I wrote a book about it. The tunnels are exactly like they are, say, like in New York City, where you would have the metal door on the sidewalk lifted up, you take the stairs down, and you're able to walk through what are called hollow sidewalks or pedestrian walkways underneath the sidewalks to get from stores, deliver merchandise, things like that. So the ones in Colorado are pretty much identical to what you still use up in New York City. It's just now they're considered a myth and they're filled in. Biggest open tunnel is in Salida, which is where I'm from, Salida. And it's a large, huge open tunnel system that's underneath the sidewalks. Well, the tunnels here are pretty cool, only because the ones here in the Blake Street Vault, there's two doorways, but when you go through one, you can't exit through the other one, which makes it completely different than any other tunnel I've seen. All the other tunnels, if you have 2 or 3 doors, you can go into one and exit through any of them. This one, it's walled off in the center. Now, if you look inside of here, you'll see they're actually curved, which is very unusual because most of the ones are just simply a nice flat door. And then you would just walk in through the door and you're in the tunnel. This one's actually pretty cool. The tunnel actually is not here. The tunnel is past that wall. This is simply the entrance into the tunnel.
Wow. Cool.
Now the reason the door looks so low is because they've raised this floor 3 feet because it used to be dirt. They made it level, put concrete on it, very common in a lot of these old buildings. That's why this looks so short. And then you can also see how they use the train tracks to build them. Well, the tunnels were built at the same time the buildings were built. And so the building was 1890s, tunnel was built in 1890s. And they were used to lure merchandise off the train and to just pretty much get around town, because remember, back in the day, your streets were mud and dirt and just a big, huge mess, and the women had those long dresses and the fancy shoes. It was actually easier to do their shopping by going through the tunnel systems to get into each of the stores than it was to walk on the streets. If you want to find your own tunnels and maybe your own town, you would look on the sidewalks for the glass pavement lights, which would be these little circles that are either in long strips or large squares or inside of manhole covers. And if you have the crystals, that's to light up the underneath area. So if you see crystals, there's a tunnel or a vault underneath of those. The only thing I know about the Brighton tunnels is they do exist. Some of them are still open, and from what I'm guessing, they are probably used for the exact same thing, below ground shops.
Unfortunately, we were unable to go inside the Brighton tunnels. We discovered entrances to the tunnels inside a hair salon and a coffee shop and even a bar. However, every entrance was sealed shut with cement blocks. We were able to find a former underground barber shop, though.
Where you went to go to get a bath, like on special occasions. So unless you owned your own well, okay, so which was rare back then, and they were also the only ones allowed to have sharp instruments back then. So
Really?
they did bloodlettings and tonsillectomies and stuff like that.